In advanced tarot courses and psychic development courses, I often tell students you can never really know when you've helped a client or not in a session. You might think, wow, I'm on fire today, this is a great reading, or we struggled at the beginning, but we finally got there, we've made sense of this, But you don't know if the client's going to remember it. You don't know if the client's going to act on it in a positive way. In some cases, I've had clients who've said, this is not very helpful at all. And then later they've come across the recording, listened to it and thought, oh my God, this was Brian, and I didn't realise it was Brian. I was thinking it was this guy, and they're starting to see with perspective what you said making sense to them now. Sometimes readers can actually hinder clients by not setting and maintaining good personal boundaries. When I was younger, I had a really pushy client and I got bulldozed into answering some questions I shouldn't have answered. And one of them was, what does the future hold for my daughter's marriage? The daughter was about to get married, and she wanted to know long-term future. In other words, I want you to give me a guarantee that this is going to be good. And I said, look, they'll divorce in 5 years after the second child is born, and then it gets a little bit more interesting, a little bit more complicated as well. She was furious, absolutely aghast that I should say this, and wrote to me the next day saying, you should never have told me that. And I thought, you're right. I should never have told you that. I should never have let you ask me that question. The strange thing was, some years later, her daughter turns up for a reading in the middle of her divorce. And I'm thinking, well, the mother told her daughter at some stage. Hopefully, the mother told her daughter when the divorce had already started, not beforehand, because you don't want to plant that seed in someone's mind. Give them the chance, because during the reading, I said to the woman, look, I don't create the future. I don't control the future. I'm just a witness. And a witness from a distance. I'm not always seeing everything because sometimes when you're giving readings, it's like shining a light in a dark cellar with a torch. Whatever the beam hits, you can see, but you can't see the rest of it. You need to put an overhead light on to get the absolute context of the cellar's very crowded on that side, but nothing on that side. There's been a drain cut through here, and there's, you can really actually see it when you've got a lot of light. So I explain to students, what I do is I ask my guides, you give me this information, can I tell the client? If it's a yes, how much can I tell the client? They'll explain. And is there a specific way I need to present this to the client? Because sometimes people can't hear it in a certain way, and they can hear it in a different way. Sometimes I find myself posing it as a question. If this situation with your boss just goes on and on for another 2 or 3 years, and you can't really find a way to resolve it, even though you're willing to resolve it, would you consider another opportunity with another organisation? I've said 2 or 3 years. If that client goes away thinking, well, I think he's right. I've tried many methods, but I can't get my boss to move. He's inflexible on this, so maybe I need to move. And if they move sooner or later, it's their choice. During a pure clairvoyance reading, I was reading for a woman in her early 30s who had just been married, Kerry, and she asked, what does the future hold for a love relationship? And I thought, well, the simplest way is for me to skip forward to the end of her life and see who she meets on the other side, and then we can discuss it there, And I skip forward and I see 3 men standing chatting to one another. 3 late husbands. So this is the first of 3 husbands, and I'm thinking, I can't tell her this. She's happily married and she's only just got married, so what's the possibility, So in some cases, and I didn't in Kerry's case, but some cases I would say you will have an opportunity to marry again if you want, and I'd probably hesitate to say twice more because it'll feel like, God, what is this? I'm getting practice, you can't plant seeds like that with clients because it's not fair. Give them every chance they can to make the most of what they've got. Working backwards from the end of her life, I found that the second husband was her tower of strength during her period of loss after the first husband. That's how they met, that's how they grew closer, and then they became relationship partners. The third husband met her when he was on a world tour that he and his wife had promised they would take if she got better from her disease, and she didn't. Unfortunately, she passed away. So he took the trip by himself. Very hard trip to take, I imagine. She would have loved this, she would have loved that. You're eating at a table for one, you're grieving and you're travelling the world. I can't imagine that would be an easy trip. But how Kerry met this man was strange too. She had a ticket for a live event. She didn't read the date. When she thought it was a Friday and it was a Wednesday, And so she turned up on the Friday. They explained to her, this ticket's not for today. She burst into tears, and an usher said to her, look, we might have a couple of spaces. You're going to have to wait 20, 30 minutes, but we might have a couple of spaces. If we do, we'll fit you into one. He then sat her down next to a man who became her third husband. Now I'm thinking that could just be a coincidence, but one hell of a coincidence. Maybe this man just marries the first person she meets, but maybe these people were fated to be together. It's hard to know.